10. Lovey-dovey. It was raining a little bit the next morning. Sprinkles, human call them. Thankfully, not enough to get me wet on my way to the nature center. I don't like keeping secrets, especially not from Miranda, Saya said as she carried my cage. I clung tightly to the bars of my cage and watched the trees along the path bob up and down. I can understand that, I managed to squeak back, though my throat was as wobbly as my tummy. I'd love to tie knots with Miranda. We're always braiding each other's hair. It'd be fun if we all got good at knots, but I don't want to let the other chickadees down, she continued. Eek! I said as Saya turned a corner abruptly. I mean, of course not. Saya sighed. I guess I'll concentrate on doing well on the test. You can do it, I said, and I believed it too. When we had reached the nature center, Saya placed me next to the empty spot on the table, the spot where Og's tank usually sat. I'd been all set to tell him about Saya's dilemma, and he wasn't there. Besides, his tank was usually between my cage and Jake the snake, and not having him there made me just a little jittery. I hoped Jake had been fed that morning. Saya moved on and found a place to sit. Counselor Katie was already in the room, setting up a small projector. I think you'll be interested in what I've got for today, Saya, Katie said. I thought I'd be interested too, as long as it didn't involve snakes. A few more campers trickled in. I climbed up to the top of my cage to see if Og was coming. Just as I was feeling quite worried, Brad from the Blue Jays cabin entered, carrying Og's tank. Hi, 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 I squeaked as Brad plunked the tank down on the table. Boing, Og replied. Dumb frog, Brad muttered. I was stunned. Og? A dumb frog? Brad clearly didn't know what he was talking about. He doesn't even say ribbit like a normal frog, he complained. I scampered down to the bottom of my cage and looked up at Brad. Now see here, I squeaked. That's because he's not an ordinary frog. He's a very special frog with a very special sound. I wished he could have heard more than just squeak, squeak, squeak. Brad wasn't paying a bit of attention to me. He was checking out the nature center. Welcome, Brad, Katie greeted him. You picked a great day to come. Is this the whole thing? He asked. A frog, a bird, a hamster, and a plain old snake. My other camp practically had a whole zoo in theirs, he said. They had a hawk and a raccoon and a boa constrictor. Katie kept smiling. We try to keep the animals in the wild as much as possible, she explained. Of course, Humphrey and Og are pets. Some of the workers found Jake under some boards, and Lovey here was a rescue. You'll learn more about her today. Just take a seat. Brad sat down next to Gail, who was busily writing a letter. She might as well have been at her desk in room 26. I guess she would have been happier in room 26. When the session began, Katie explained that while she was hiking one day, she found Lovey lying out in the woods. It was obvious that her wing was broken. Then she dimmed the lights and started showing slides. I must say, seeing the lovely Lovey on the ground with one wing just hanging limply was a sad, sad sight. There were even a few drops of blood. Look at this, Og. I rushed to get a better view of the screen. Katie said that it is not a good idea to get close to the wild bird who might be injured, but in this case, it was obvious that the dove was in trouble. When she approached slowly and the bird didn't fight her, she scooped it up with a net and put it in a box. She'd read that mourning doves panic in a cage with bars, which is a little strange to me since I think the bars on my cage give me wonderful protection from dogs and cats and other scary things. The next slide showed Katie examining the broken wing with her friend Dr. Singleton at the local wildlife refuge. He was a veterinarian who specializes in birds. It made me think of Dr. Drew, who helped me and helped my hamster friend Winky find a new home with one of my friends from room 26. The two of them washed the wing and put medicine on it. Then they very, very, very carefully taped the wing back into its original position. Isn't Lovey very brave? I squeaked to my neighbor, who took a long, noisy dive into the water in his tank. I could tell that he was as impressed as I was. They gave Lovey food and water and let her rest. Katie turned off the projector and turned the lights up again. The rain was heavier now, pounding on the roof of the nature center. Lovey's wing is just about healed now, she told the campers. If things go well, before you go home, we'll be able to free her back into the wild. Anyone who'd like to be part of Lovey's release, let me know. Me, I squeaked, but there was so much talking no one could hear my hamsterish squeaks. In fact, all the campers gathered around Katie, begging to be part of the release. I looked over at Lovey in her crate. She didn't look like anything was broken anymore. She looked strong and proud. Did you hear that, Lovey? I squeaked at the top of my lungs. I know birds can't smile, but the look on Lovey's face was as close as a bird come to a big fat grin. I think I was smiling a little bit too as the other campers left the nature center chattering away. Brad stayed seated with his arms folded. How could he not think that would be exciting? Oh, he made my whiskers twitch. And Gail was still writing nonstop. She didn't even look up. Miss Mack went over to talk to her. You certainly are taking a lot of notes, she told Gail. Gail looked up. Oh, I'm finishing a letter to Heidi. I write her and my parents every day so they know everything that's going on at camp. Miss Mack looked kind of serious. Then she said, Why not put it away the pen and paper for a little while? Since it's raining, arts and crafts would be a good choice for your next session. You like that, don't you? Gail hesitated before folding up her paper. Yes, she said. Come on, Miss Mack said. I'll walk you there. It is any wonder I love Miss Mack. Then I saw Brad standing and staring at Lovey. Katie came over to him. Would you like to help with her release? She asked Brad. The boy shrugged. Doesn't seem like such a big deal, he said. At my other camp, we had ropes course. Now that was cool. Katie gave him a curious look. It sounds great, but this is something different. We could use your help. What was the name of that other camp you went to? White Pines, Brad said in a husky voice. It was a lot bigger than this. Why did you come here? Katie asked, which was exactly what I was wondering. My folks thought it would be a good change, Brad muttered. Katie kept on smiling. Sometimes at a smaller camp, you can make more friends. I'll be sure to let you know when we're going to release Lovey, she said. Brad didn't say anything for a while. He just stared at Lovey. Whatever, he said. Note to self. Humans can be very kind and caring to birds, hamsters, and other small creatures. Most humans. And that's the end of the chapter. So I'm thinking something's really wrong with Brad. He's not very happy at all. I wonder if they can turn around his attitude and get him to be happy to be there. We'll find out.